Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. So we've got a housing shortage out there.
Oh my gosh, do we ever?
Did you see there's like three, I think the National Association of Realtors put, how many was it?
Was it like 38 million, 3.8? What was it?
3.8 million
Million.
home shortage at this time.
So there's this many buyers right now that just cannot find a house across the board.
Well, I think what they're saying is that populations, people have come of age since 2000, 2008, 2009,
Mhm.
actually through 2012. There was really they constricted on how much they built at that time, just out of fear.
Right,
And here
right.
we are.
The
So,
repercussions.
yeah. And you and I, we look at it all the time. And in our area, the household incomes have not gone up all that much since 2008. Yet
Good point. The
the
values.
the values have gone way up. In
Mhm.
fact, it was over
Recently.
15% last year in many of the towns. And across the country, I want to say it was, I don't know, 15.8%. Yet my fear here in this article in National Association of Realtors states that, we just need to build. Is that the solution?
I think that it really depends. It's kind of a blanket statement. I think there's a lot of variables at play right now with building as well. Building costs have really gone up. I think it's really something to take into consideration. What does that actually look like now to build that house cost wise?
Yeah, I think the numbers that we saw were 190. The lumber cost of lumber is 198% up. And I was talking with a good friend of mine, Matt Pappas, the other day, and he was talking about to build just your typical colonial, just the lumber alone, and I'm talking just the lumber is right
Mhm.
around $30,000 higher than it was prior to the pandemic. So those are good numbers to know.
Right, absolutely. It's going to make a big difference in the house that you're looking to build.
Exactly. So here's my we're always thinking and probably overthinking these things, but given that the across the country right now the median home sells for $313,000. The median household income is $65,712. You know where I'm going with this. So it should be that median household income you should be able to multiply that number by 3 and arrive at the median selling price of a house across the country. So if you multiply 65,712 times 3, you end up with 197,136, which is a 37% is what we're off by.
That is huge.
So if people do buy these homes at 313,000, but they're only making $67,000, $65,000 a year, then they will have zero or very little discretionary income, which means our economy will flatline
Right.
or potentially plummet because these people have no money to actually live. They will be house poor. What are your thoughts?
I think you took it right out of my mouth. That's immediately where my thoughts went to, were our local businesses, because that's who's impacted and who owns the local businesses. It's your
Right.
neighbor, it's literally our community. So it's a scary thing. And it's just making sure that people are aware of these numbers and what they're doing going in. I think if people have a short-term plan, I would definitely say, let's, stay away from that right now. Maybe not a good idea. But if they're looking for a longer term plan, they've got a good plot of land, and we're able to help them locate that. We do have some really great builders that we're able to refer to them. But it's a hard one right now. We do have a housing shortage. We're seeing the sellers really make financial gains off of it. So it's a great time for them. But our buyers, it's really hard.
If I were a buyer right now, if you were to take me 20 years back and put me in the marketplace, I would be looking for a multifamily because I know that those rents are going to climb. So your rent should be equal to it's typically, if I'm a renter, I can afford the principal and the interest.
Mhm.
I can't afford the taxes and the insurance. So that number is what you can get for rent. And if you can't afford to buy that $313,000 home, maybe you can rent And I don't think we're with that demand. I think the cost to own and the cost to rent are going to approach one another. So you've really got to be cognizant of where you are, what the rent is. And if you do the math, does it tell you, should you rent or should you own? But I would personally buy a 3-family, a 4-family. If I couldn't afford it, I would get some friends together. I would get some other families. I would make sure that everybody goes in on it. And I would set myself up for success in the future through the purchase of real estate.
Right. You can start building that portfolio, especially when you're a first-time home buyer. I think that's really just your best opportunity. I tell my 20-year-old son all the time, hey, buddy, it's time for you to be looking, maybe not time to buy just yet, but let's start looking and, get your ducks in a row. And that's the way to go. Get moved in and have your friends come in and help you pay that mortgage. Let's start that portfolio. So we're good at helping people to do that. That's for sure.
Perfect. Yeah. I think, hey, maybe we put a challenge out there. Maybe the group should go buy a multifamily within the next, year.
1 year. I like it. What's the date? April
Well,
21st.
that's right. So maybe that we throw that out there, put that out there in the universe, and make
That
sure
would be
that
a
we
good goal.
get that property.
I like it. The energy's out there.
All right. Hey, I appreciate your time. Thank you, Kim.
Yep. Have a good one.
You too.